Hey everyone, welcome back to the garden. It is a balmy 80 degrees today in southeastern Pennsylvania. It's quite warm for November 6th. We've been asked to conserve water now because we are in a severe drought. We're on a well, a very deep well, so I'm not totally concerned. I am a little concerned because we have been hand watering for months now. But I do feel for people who are on city water and maybe can't give their gardens the drink that they need at this time. But let's take a walk around and talk a little bit about hits and misses in the garden this year. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. It's been a tough year in the garden because of the drought and the high temperatures over the summer. So I really don't feel like I have a lot to show you. There's just a lot of things that I just feel like there's a lot of areas of our gardens this year that we were only able to half finish because of the water situation and the extreme temperatures over the summer. But some of the plants that we planted performed really, really well, and I'm really happy with them. So I'm going to show you a couple of those plants that I think were real hits in the garden this year. We haven't cleaned up any of our leaves. We cleaned them up earlier, like a couple of weeks ago, and our yard is full of leaves again. So please excuse the leaves everywhere. We will get to that, but right in this bed in front of our deck that we transformed this year, one of the garden hits is the wee bit innocent hydrangeas. They actually need a lot less water than some of the other hydrangeas that we've added to our garden this year. This one has been blooming the most. The other two, I feel like we did not get any blooms on those, but this one had a couple of blooms. You can see this new one here, and there's a spent bloom right there. Their leaves are very clean. No disease or spots really to speak of. Even the ones that are not blooming or did not have any blooms are just really clean and fresh looking. You can see some of them have started to go red and maroon. This is a small hydrangea. This is not going to be a big one. I think they're like 2 by 2, which is perfectly fine with me. I didn't want a huge hydrangea for in front of our deck here. But I do like the pale pink blooms, and hopefully next year we get more blooms. I suspect we will. Hopefully we get more rain. I think that is part of the problem. It takes a lot for flowers to bloom on plants. It takes a lot of energy for plants to put on blooms, and if you're not getting a lot of rain, even if you have irrigation but your ground is exceedingly dry, the plants just can't get the water that they need. So I'm glad that we at least got a couple of blooms on this one. We added a lot of boxwoods this year, and in the same bed we added 2 different kinds of boxwoods, and they have been a real blessing this year because they have not needed a lot of care from us. The one you're looking at right now is a new gen boxwood Freedom. We added 3 to this bed. We have one here. We have one down there with some leaves in it. This is the latest one we just added a couple of weeks ago. And we also added a green pillar boxwood. So the new gen boxwood, obviously, I think I've talked to you about these before. They are a new to the market disease-resistant boxwood. The Freedom grows a little bit taller. There's an Independence that grows a little wider. So never really considered boxwoods before, but they really do help in shady areas where other evergreens would fail. This is the green tower or green pillar boxwood. Oops, let me get out of the way there. Right now it's about 3 feet tall. This is a tall, narrow boxwood. It's not one of the low-growing balls like the new gens. So this is going to get about 8 feet tall by 2 feet wide. Now, it's going to be a slow grower. It's not going to get there overnight, but I think it'll be a nice exclamation point to this bed. I brought this one home from the nursery that I work at. That has not put on any new growth. Again, probably because of lack of rain. We have not watered it a ton, just enough to keep it going. But I do think that boxwoods are great for winter interest. They're drought tolerant once established, low maintenance, great if you're looking for something like that in your garden. We added 3 green mountain boxwoods in the front of our front porch. These replaced 3 Cryptomeria globosa nana, which had just completely and totally outgrown the space. Probably the wrong plant for this location. Again, boxwoods do better here because they don't need sun, and this part of our garden does not get any sun. It's underneath the eaves of our front porch, so obviously not a lot of sun is going to shine down here. But because boxwoods don't need a lot of sun or even a lot of moisture, they will do fine here. Now, they will not put on a lot of growth quickly. Boxwoods are pretty much slow growers anyway, but you know, they would do better with a little bit of sun, but that's okay. I don't want anything that's going to block the front porch here like the Cryptomeria did. We added these 2 Pugster blue butterfly bushes to the garden this year. Now they're done blooming, but they really have needed little care. We did not give them much water at all. Very little, to be quite honest with you, and they've done absolutely fine. So again, if you're looking for something that needs very, very little maintenance, butterfly bushes are a great option to add to your garden. Something else too, we added these 4 lantanas. These have just been going, and again, very little water. They really needed nothing at all. They've been going for months now. Really, really glad we added these because they do add a pop of color, and we don't need to come down here constantly and give them water. Now, this is not strictly an add to the garden this year. These are a transplant. These are 3 pennisetum grasses in here. These are the dwarf pennisetum grasses called Hamon. And we moved them from an area that they were just getting too much shade in, so they never actually got big. They never bloomed. I mean, look at the gorgeous bunny tail blooms on them. And they're really pretty for fall too because they stand up straight. Again, this is a plant that needs very little maintenance. They're drought tolerant once established. But in the summer they're beautiful because they're dark green and they start to bloom relatively early. And in the fall, I mean, this is what you want to see from fall. Grass structure. This is it right here. So not necessarily an add this year, but definitely a hit. I think one of the best adds to our garden this year were the 3 pinky pollen rings in front of the Thin Man. Now obviously they're going out of not only bloom, but going out for the season completely. They're losing their leaves, they're going brown and crispy, but just a few weeks ago when they were really dark green and blooming, they were beautiful. I think this was a really nice addition here. We needed something in front of the Thin Man. Originally there was Walker's Low Catmint. It was just not doing the job, so we dug those out and added 3 hydrangeas. I'm really excited to see what these do next year, and actually they're still blooming. Let me show you. So there's a new bud there that hasn't yet completely opened. And there's another one here. This is a completely new bud that hasn't opened yet. You can tell it's hot in Pennsylvania. Our air conditioner just went on. Here's another new bud that's going to hopefully bloom. I mean, it's getting late in the year, so it's exciting to see buds on hydrangeas. And then there's a couple of more in here. Oh gosh, we see more. There's another one there. They're kind of like dark purple when they start to first bud out. So definitely a hit in the garden this year, I would say. Can I add garden structures as a hit this year as well? We replaced a concrete urn and pedestal in the middle of our herb garden with this sage green colored obelisk from Gardener Supply, and I really like it. I think this side of the garden needed some height. The urn was about, I don't know, 3/4 of the height of this obelisk, and I feel like we have a lot of tall stuff over on that side of the garden. Our deck is raised a little bit, so the umbrella kind of adds height. The fireplace and the arbor over there add height, and then it was really low and nondescript here. So we decided to change it out, and I really think it added a nice touch of whimsy to the garden over here, and I do like the fact that it's about 6 feet tall because it adds much needed height to this side of our garden. Something else I started adding more of to my garden this year are roses, and I'm not going to lie to you, they have been a lot of maintenance. I actually even had to pull a new rose out because of rose rosette disease, so that was quite disappointing. But we have an orange glow knockout rose here that we're just going to overwinter in a container. I bought this at work, gosh, I don't know, probably 2 months ago. And because it was living up to its name, Orange Glow, and it really does glow when you see it in bloom. I'm hoping it survives in this container. This is a frost-free container, so it should be absolutely fine. And again, it is covered in buds. And I really hope they get a chance to bloom, because I'd love to be able to update you if they do and show you just how gorgeous the color of these blooms are. Another one back here. Amongst all of the dead, dying foliage of the lilacs, the Orange Glow Knockout Rose is still putting on a show. So I would call that a hit in the garden. And again, hopefully I get to update you if and when these buds actually bloom. I'm going to say one of the misses in our garden this year was this little blue jangles, Let's Dance blue jangles. I don't think it's the plant's fault itself. Again, it's been a very harsh, dry summer and now fall here. And even though we've been this a lot of water, it's easy to come over and water this one because it's close to the house. So it's gotten a lot of extra water. I don't know. I just feel like there's something more going on than just lack of water. Maybe it was too much sun, although there's one behind me that we planted several years ago and that has never had an issue. I'll turn around and show that one to you. So I don't think that I can consider this a miss. It's not the plant's fault. I think it's more environmental than it is due to the plant itself not performing, because this is the Let's Dance blue jangles we added 3 or 4 years ago, and it's always performed really, really well. I think maybe it's just, obviously it's more established. It does get a little bit more shade because of the laurels behind it. So I'd call that a miss for my garden this year, the blue jangles. We'll see how that does next year. Hopefully it does better. Another recent add to the garden were these 2 Fountains of Rouge Itea. They are beautiful. The red is very intense, the burgundy red of the leaves. And again, this is something that's far from the house, so it kind of glows up here. It adds some color to a part of the yard that's mostly green. And they'll be able to handle some seriously challenging conditions up here all winter last year, because that's when we got all of our rain. It was quite boggy up here, and then all summer it's been dry as a bone. This plant will be able to handle that. So if you have those kinds of challenging conditions, don't despair, because there are beautiful plants out there that you can add to your garden. The Itea Fountains of Rouge is one of them. We added a lot of hydrangeas to our yard this year. Here we have 2 Cherry Explosion and 3 Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue. I feel like the Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue needed a lot of water. So again, this one, no matter how much we water it, it's always wilted, even now. So not sure. I wouldn't call that necessarily a miss because of the plant again. I think it's more environmental. But yeah, hydrangeas need a lot of water to begin with, but some of them just seem to need more. And I mean, you never know if you're going to go into a drought. It's just something you can't predict. But maybe next year we won't add nearly as many hydrangeas, even though I want to add more, without first adding drip irrigation. Maybe we'll add some drip up here, but yeah, the Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue, gorgeous when they're working, not so much when they're wilted. We added these 5 Carnival Peach Heuchera to this bed relatively recently, and they're actually blooming profusely. Now, take that with a grain of salt. They are Heuchera. We're not talking roses here, but they've actually got really, really tall bloom stalks on them. Some of them have actually stopped blooming now. I mean, those are spent flower blooms, but they're pretty. It's still an interest, provide interest in the garden. These are new, so I'm guessing those are going to be blooming in about, judging by the look of it, maybe a week. Same as the one back there. Again, the foliage is very clean. It's very clear. They've brightened up a little bit since we've gotten them in the ground. So I'm really excited to see these grow. This is again something that, because of the color, it really provides interest that we can see from the house. They kind of glow. And I'm really glad we added 5 of them here because it gives a bit of more of an impact than just, and I think initially I just bought 3 and then I bought 2 more when we got more in at the garden center. I love heuchera, especially the pinky, peachy, corally ones. So hopefully I will be able to add some more of those to the garden next year. But definitely a hit for this year. I just wanted to zoom in real close on the foliage of this one. As you can see, it's really ruffly. I love the veining in the backs of the leaves are really, really pink, while the front are kind of like an icy watermelon-y color, even though it's called Carnival Peach. So yeah, definite hit for the garden this year. Loving the bloom stalks too. Another plant we added to the same bed this year were these 2 Eclipse hydrangeas, and my goodness, talk about water hogs. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're the first, well, it's considered a black leaf. They're not really black, obviously, but it's a very, very dark-leaved hydrangea with very, very intense pink flowers. You can see some spent blooms in there. But these have been some of the most high-maintenance hydrangeas I've ever had to deal with, even more so than the Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue and the little blue jangles over there. Every time I looked at these this summer, they were in wilt. So they're set up on drip irrigation now, and it has definitely helped. And we do have these in bigger sizes at the garden center, and they are really absolutely gorgeous. So I'm willing to give them another chance. Again, hopefully we get more rain next year and that they get the chance to live up to their reputation. They're a big, big hydrangea. They're gorgeous when you see them in bloom. So although I feel like this was a miss for my garden this year, just because they are such a water hog and we've had so little rain, I'm willing to give them another chance because they are so gorgeous. So that's it for now, guys. I mean, we've added a ton of stuff to our garden this year. Didn't do nearly as much transplanting as we wanted to for obvious reasons, but we did add a ton of shrubs, some perennials, and you know, I hope we do get to add more. I hope we get some more rain soon. Normally going into this time of the year, it's wet. It's our wet season, and I would really like for our shrubs to get some water over the winter so that they're kind of strong and healthy, ready to go for next season. I can't really think of any misses, like total misses, like we planted something and it died right away. I'm really trying to think hard. We did have some near misses that we managed to just avert, I guess, if you want to call it a garden disaster. I mean, it's a garden, you know, it's not like it's a nuclear war, but I think most things were hits this year, even though the gardens definitely struggled, like I said. But anyway, so thanks for coming along and talking about some of our garden hits and misses. If I think of anything more, I'll bring them to you, definitely. We're going to be planting some bulbs, hopefully, in the next video. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.